When it comes to the world of unintentionally funny RPGs, we of course have gems such as Oblivion.
Stay away!
As well as two worlds that we covered recently that makes an even stronger case for the crown.
Welcome to our shop. We offer good prices for Brotherhood members.
Oh my god. But both of these games, if you ask me, are at least somewhat aware of their silliness. But today we have quite the contender. A game releasing in 2014 that has become infamous for its terrible nonsense. A game that, despite its serious tone and story of gods and betrayal, feels more like a practical joke than an RPG epic, and could very well challenge for the champion of the unintentionally funny RPG. Okay, I have no idea what is going on here. My name's Mitch Mannix, and this is the utter madness of the infamous Magus. Magus opens with an introductory cutscene with our hero for this journey blasting his enemies to bits, looking like a total psychopath, flashing right into the game's soundtrack, which sounds like it would be more suited to some slow motion running through a field in an attempt to sell toilet paper. Are you tired of bum debris flying all over the place when you're trying to do epic moves? Look no further than Mitch Mandrex, voted the #1 toilet paper by Codpiece Weekly. Beginning our adventure, we find our hero locked up in a prison when we are approached by a female warrior who explains that she has been tasked with tracking down a god and asks us to speak a phrase to see if we are the one she seeks.
Repeat this phrase. If I am of the blood, by the right of my almighty divine powers, I claim this world for my own.
And after speaking the phrase, it unlocks our divine power, revealing that Magus here is the man/secret god she has been looking for, which must be very exciting for our lady friend, although meeting a god to this woman seems about as exciting as an unwanted advance from an intoxicated work colleague.
I'm not quite sure how to respond to that, my lord.
But we have an escape to carry out, as we finally get control of our oddly hunched-over hero, who after extracting the magic from a nearby glowing stone, unlocks his first school of magic, aptly named Green.
A nugget of purest green!
We get to work blasting down the door and heading out into the prison, taking out some of the guards and grabbing our first bit of loot. A ring to enhance our green some more. Working our way through the prison, we get a first look at the game's combat, which is far more bullet hell feeling than I was expecting, as well as some of the game's RPG elements, such as the game's stat points and abilities to unlock to upgrade our hero, which looking at it is quite a unique take on a playable god character.
Oh, how we praise his creepy stars, and his holy wrath of citrus polos.
Light and heavy attacks are available for each of the RGB schools of magic, with abilities that use mana on top, with even the light attack being incredibly effective at cutting down the numerous and frequently highly mobile enemies. I'm sorry, what? Okay, that guy is skating towards me. Of course, accompanied by our companion, who is also quite formidable, even when just simply standing there and staring enemies down, all leading to a combat experience that feels laughably easy, but as if to answer the call, we come across our first boss room, and we are warned that these enemies are a particular challenge and not to underestimate them, and even given a couple of hints of how to overcome this challenge. Hints that quickly went out of the window when it's revealed that simply running around in a circle was more than enough to take down the first boss of this RPG, that as a reminder was released on PS3 in 2014. Exiting the prison, we briefly speak to and swiftly demolish the surrounding guards, and our heavily underwhelmed companion explains that her mission to rescue us is the only thing she remembers, as those that have set her off on her mission control her memories.
So that I cannot give any useful information if I am apprehended.
An unnecessary move if you ask me, as listening to any details from this woman would be next to impossible due to inevitably falling asleep. Battling through more alarmingly nimble guards, we come across yet another palette-swapped mini-boss of sorts.
If you'd rather be put down like a rabid dog with your friend here, so be it. Do not move!
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That escalated quickly.
That despite his legion of silent wingmen is no match for the wombo combo of our seemingly immortal companion, and running around in circles until they all fall down. Another disappointing encounter aside, we move on to unlocking the main hub of the game, in the form of a wizard's tower, of course fully decked out in the RGB schools of magic, as well as a few surprises.
Welcome back, Master. You command, I obey. As you wish.
What the fuck? Yep, and that NPC is gone for the rest of the entire game. Because, yes. What happened? Did the voice actor fart in their kettle or something?
Please forgive me, Master.
Along with unlocking our final School of Magic, we get introduced to the level select system, allowing us to dive into our next destination of the mines. A location filled with unicorns, diligently working away mining the fruity pebble-looking magic rocks within, and that act and sound exactly like the human enemies we have faced up until this point, only with the odd motorboat sound thrown in there for effect. Within the mines, we are treated to more insanely one-sided combat encounters, against enemies still trying to do their best impression of actually functioning NPCs, spaced out by interruptions of our hero Magus here hearing some odd voices. One of which he reports to our hyperactive companion as Monoceros Morte, smashing together Italian/Portuguese and Greek mythology to land on Unicorn Dead, which is somewhat correct, or at least would be if that's what the voices actually said. Here's what it actually said, and yes, I am that sad.
Only the Makers can hear us.
The comments made around the Maker becoming far more clear when getting a chance to speak with a Unicorn Elder further into the mines, who informs us that only Magus as a god can hear their words, and they are devout worshippers of the Makers.
We will serve you, Maker. All of us. But our young will serve you in a different way.
Oh God!
By attacking you at all times, Maker.
Oh right, yeah, of course. What? Ah, but of course, there being no better way to show your love and devotion for your god than by assaulting them at all times. With a few levels under our belt and a small collection of gear obtained, we made sure to stop every once in a while and allocate our skills and optimize our gear. Magus features a rather paint-by-numbers feeling gearing system, with slightly different color versions of the hero's armor and other pieces of gear granting small stat increases, as well as socketable gems to push things higher. A system that in all honesty is easy to forget even exists at all, since even on the game's hard difficulty, the game's combat is so hilariously easy, it feels like this game was made specifically as an ego boost timeout for players stuck on a particularly challenging Dark Souls boss, Dark Souls being a game that predates this one by 3 years. Speaking of bosses, it was time to take on the boss of the mines, finally getting an alternative to the endless copy and pasted soldiers up until this point. And in typical Magus fashion, it's not only insultingly easy, with our large foe here constantly folding on his arse like a pisshead trying to reach a curry house, but also featuring some odd quirk, this time around in the form of this large fellow's unicorn cheerleader bouncing up and down on the sidelines. With the overgrown toddler defeated and locked away forever, we move on to the ice caps of the burial grounds for more of the same mindless blasting. Magus to me feels like one of those games when you begin with all of the best gear and upgrades before something happens and you lose them all, and then work to regain that power over the game's runtime. But with Magus, it feels like they forgot to add the part where you actually lose all of the abilities in the first place. Either that or the developers suffered from one particularly annoying beta tester, who was utterly crap at the game and frequently complained about it being too hard, leading to insanely overcompensating. Is this easy enough for you, Ron? Battling through the ice caps, we meet an undead captain who was summoned by someone to try and take us out, as well as an undead elder who attacks us for not being dead enough, and not belonging here in the burial grounds. And after defeating him, he grants us a single question to ask, with Magus asking if there are any gods to be found in the burial grounds, as this bloke is an elder, after all.
I may answer but one question, then I will become silent for all eternity. Yes.
Right, okay. Knowing this game, I would not be surprised if that god was actually Magus, and he was just taking the piss. Reaching the boss of the zone, we come across an undead keeper donning a crown, who according to our companion is not actually a god, and
No,
that's so stupid! This boss fight goes the same way as the others, so easy that even the boss himself flat out gives up at one point and just stands there. While of course continuing the odd visuals, with the undead keeper running towards us like a toddler chasing an ice cream truck, and the spectacle of the levitate skill blending beautifully with Magus's weird creepy stance, and of course leading to another almost inevitable victory.
Why did I agree to do this game?
Leaving the burial grounds, we learn that our companion is on a mission to learn how to kill the gods, which is reassuring. As we move on to without a doubt the most ridiculous zone of them all, the site of a war between the gods and the titans, in the desert. the desert being the home to various factions, including a human tribe with the largest of eyeballs, who Magus, being the omnipotent being that he is, acts like a total dick until they attack him, and then destroys them with his levitating DJing skills. Following the beatdown, the bandit leader warns us of this zone's most entertaining feature, that being its packs of roaming giants, who despite their menacing look and massive size are in fact the most useless and broken mobs in the entire game, which is seriously saying something, as even when being involved in a mini-boss fight devolves into what feels like a strange mod for Wii bowling.
Nice throw!
And when they're not falling through the floor,
Nope.
or pulling out crazy moves even in death, such as this one that I like to call the crotch rocket,
Oh my god!
they are enacting tributes to the Blair Witch Project or spazzing out entirely. The desert zone was a highlight due only to just how ridiculous these mobs can get, but at its core still boils down to the same mindless sucking on fruity pebbles and wondering who could have created this, while laying waste to all that stands in our way. The penultimate area is a true test of players' patience, battling through yet more endless amounts of mobs that even with these dragon men types seem to still be reaching for the janky NPC crown. Hold on, what? Oh, off he goes. But also now having to disable portals at the same time that of course take a ridiculous amount of time to destroy. Following this, we return to the Mage Tower only to be met by the man who held us prisoner at the start of the game, King Lythorel, who, I don't know, genuinely, who looks to finally take us out, seeming confident.
You pitiful fool. Do you really think it'll be that easy?
Yes, I do. In fact, I'm so sure, why don't we time it just to see? Quick reminder, this game is on its hardest difficulty. The final zone and its battle is more of the same tried and true nonsense, with elements reminding me of Dark Messiah for some reason, with the final boss as ridiculous as them all, with the God Queen spending most of her time standing perfectly still, accepting her inevitable demise. A battle that perfectly summarizes this absolute disaster of an RPG, an experience that looked to take on wielding the power and politics of the gods, but ended up only being anything worthwhile due to its absolute outpouring of unintentionally funny moments. A story that is about as cookie cutter as it gets, while oddly containing characters apologizing quite frequently.
I apologize.
I apologize.
My apologies.
My apologies.
Almost as if the writers of the game were trying to get ahead of themselves before the reviews hit. Gear and abilities feel utterly pointless due to the unbelievably overpowered antagonist that I ended up using purely to break up the monotony, as well as see what other silly combat encounters they would cause.
Even tiny, I am the destroyer.
It's incredible to think that this PS3 exclusive released in 2014, the year that also featured Dragon Age Inquisition, Dark Souls 2, and Divinity Original Sin. Safe to say that even if you see this one with the most insane of bargain bin discounts, you will most likely only be left looking like a slight variation of one of the game's own abilities. Thank you so much for watching. Have you played Magus or any other bonkers RPGs? Either way, I'm keen to get your thoughts down in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping it a like, as that really helps me out. And don't forget to subscribe to be in for oh so much more. We are nearly at 100,000. Let's do it, baby. I want to give a massive shout out to the channel's supporters who help in keeping the content coming. Look at them, they're so beautiful. If you're interested in all sorts of perks, including exclusive videos and behind the scenes, a link to the channel Patreon page is down in the description, including also all the music used in this video, as I've seen your comments and I'm going to start doing that. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Shit. Jesus, calm down. Oh dear Lord, what have I done? Standing upon his steed like a Segne, the former being mostly due to his reputation of being slightly less than accurate with his spells for unknown reasons.